So we were cut off the last time when I was talking about what it's like to live under Trump's authoritarian slash fascist regime. I first mentioned that he'd gone after the law firms, threatened them, scared them into defending clients that he dislikes. And then we talked about, well, his big, beautiful wall, I guess. Um, how he's basically shut down immigration into the U.S., even though there's a need for a certain amount of immigrants into the country every year just to keep the economy growing. So we talked about those two things. Where I was cut off was when I started speaking about broadly more about the economy. I had first mentioned the Federal Reserve, but you got to start off that conversation with talking about tariffs, because the Federal Reserve's dual mandate is to basically contain inflation and promote employment. So you can look at the economy as a whole and you can be like, oh, well, I don't like the way things are going, so let's just goose it up with a little bit more money. Let's just make things more, or make things less restrictive on the monetary side. But then you got to worry about inflation. So what the issue right now is that you've got Trump, who's all harped up. He's all hopped up on tariffs, to be honest. I mean, never seen anybody talk about tariffs like him since the 1930s. A little throwback to actually Nazi Germany and fascist Italy's type of economic tactics, but you know, just another example of how they're bringing us back to those days. But the issue with tariffs is that it will lead to inflation, because all it is a tax on foreign goods that are coming into the United States that are paid by the importer. So if I want to bring in $100 million, let's say, of goods from China, and Trump decides that, oh, well, we're going to take tariffs from 0 to 25%, then all of a sudden I have to pay $125 million for these goods. And now if I'm paying, as the importer, $125 million, what am I going to do? Well, the obvious answer is, yeah, I'm going to raise prices to cover those different costs that I now have to pay on this tax that Donald Trump has decided is somehow special and fixes all his economic problems. This creates real problems for the Federal Reserve system, though, the Federal Reserve Bank, because of their dual mandate, though. So we're talking about prices going up, and that's happened since Donald Trump is coming into office. Prices are up all across the board. You know, you might be able to find a specific commodity that is flatter down, but if you take the average of what households pay over a month, inflation, the rate of inflation is going up since Trump has come into office. It's up 0.3, 0.4%, by the measures that the Fed likes to look at. The Federal Reserve Bank likes to look at when it tries to control inflation. So, sorry, Donald, but groceries, very complicated word, but things are just more expensive under your presidency. Sorry, just sucks to be you. So, I mean, that's the issue for the Federal Reserve Bank. And then inflation could go crazy through the roof if investors stop believing that actually the Fed controls the money supply. If Donald Trump controls it, apparently he's just going to hit the accelerator and say, let it run wild. And we'll end up in like 1923 type Germany situation where inflation starts running at like hundreds or thousands. It might have even run at a trillionth percent. I've seen some pretty crazy denominated bills that were produced under the Weimar Republic. Also, I'm not sure they were called the Reichsmarks. But things went nuts when the central bank just stopped worrying about inflation. So, and only worry about the debt, which is what Trump is talking about. He's like, hey, we got this massive debt. We got to bring down the interest rate. You mean we need to print more money when we have inflation running too high, right? Is that what you're saying, Mr. President Donald Trump? Let's get everyone on the same sheet of paper. He's the one that's lowering interest rates as inflation is rising. He's going to own that, baby. It's going to be fun. All right. You guys all have a good night. Or day, as it may be.